But after about 10 months, then I thought, you know what, I'm working so hard at this, 2 to 3 times a week, that what can I do if I put good nutrition in? So I really started studying that myself.
Welcome to the Ed O'Keefe Show. Transform your mind, accelerate your business, energize your body, and inspire the world. Now here is your host, Ed O'Keefe.
Hey everybody, it's Ed O'Keefe, and welcome to another episode of the Ed O'Keefe Show. Today I have a good friend of mine, Mrs. Kim Lipe, who is from Fit Bodies by Kim. Now, I wanted to bring her on to specifically share the roadmap to going from being overweight, feeling like crap, not knowing where to turn, to becoming it's just really a ripped superstar woman. And she made this decision at the age of 45. And, when we start this, you'll hear Kim explain the day she looked in the mirror and decided that she had one of two choices. And I'll let her decide or let her share the rest of the story in the interview. But what I want to share with you is that this is not one of those interviews about, total biohacking and, these advanced dark secrets that no one knows about. But I do think she clears up a lot of the misconceptions that most people have when it comes to getting fit, getting shredded, whether your goal is just to lose a little bit of weight, add some muscle, and just feel and look younger, specifically for people over the age of 35, 45, and 55 and beyond. She actually tells how some of her existing clients, of the 80 that she sees every single week, she has a couple that are in their 70s. So really good, a lot of mindset stuff, a lot of emotional triggers, like how do these people make these transformations? How did she make them? What foods to avoid? What foods are most likely to cause hypersensitivities or food allergies? And then what supplements she takes? What's her daily routine look like? So that's it. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. And at the end of it, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can get access to a 12-week challenge by Kim Lipe. All right. See you on the inside.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I was 45 years old, and actually I looked at this picture at my daughter's house at Christmas, and I had thought, what had happened to me? I was always that person in my younger years where I could eat whatever I wanted to, never really worked out, and just all of a sudden I looked at that picture, and I had just turned into this person that was 30 pounds overweight, and I didn't like what I seen, so I thought, okay, Kim, you have two choices. One, you just keep getting bigger, and that's just what you do when you get past 40 or 45, or you go do something about it. So I hired a trainer. I started learning about nutrition and, set some goals for myself, and basically transformed my body. Within 2 years, I was featured in the Oxygen Women's Magazine. And then the following year, when I was 48, I started competing in fitness and bikini competitions.
Nice.
See, now I'm going to be 54 years old in another month, and I'll be getting ready to do my 14th competition on May 14th, actually. And now I help other women do the same. I have a gym now in my house, and I have about 80 clients a week that come here, and I do nutrition and workouts and online motivation and just helping people compete now in competitions too, and just kind of showing the ropes.
Wow. 80 people come to your house a week.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable. I know, 80 out here in the middle of nowhere.
Well, so let me, just for our listeners and everybody, like, where are you from? And like, I was just going to make a joke saying, like, where do you stick everybody? Because I know but where are you from? And just how do you get all those people through your house?
Well, I live in Coffee, Illinois, a very small farming community. The town is 700 people. And I basically transformed my entire basement into a gym, and it is a personal training studio, really. They have to come to classes or group training. And I work some days 9 hours a day training, and there might be anywhere from 6 to 8 in a class, but a lot of them come 2 to 3 times a week and so on. So, yeah, over a course of a week, I see 80 different people.
Wow. So let me ask, just out of curiosity, because we teach when we talk to our, and even in my book coming out, The Art of Time Collapsing, one of the key ingredients is, identify your superpower and your it, what's your it factor. And the elements around that is you really want to identify things that energize you and that you feel are naturally kind of like what you were put here to do. At the end of those days, are you probably physically exhausted, but how are you mentally and spiritually?
Yeah, I have a really heavy schedule, and I have it planned around to where I have my life too. So I'm very structured on that. So I'm exhausted, but yet the motivation that I see, those women motivate me to keep going. And even though maybe I've had maybe 9 hours of training on Monday and Wednesday, it just is so exciting to see their transformations, and that I've been a little bit of a help and motivating them. And I really think that God kind of placed me in this job because I had something totally different. I wasn't even looking for a new job whenever I started my gym, and then this just kind of turned into what I really feel like I should be doing and what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, and so it looks like most of your at fitbodiesbykim.com, that's your website. So for everybody who wants to check Kim out, you could see her before and the before and her photos are fantastic. But you look at the clients you have here. I remember, just a couple of years ago, you had a couple dozen. Now you have just pages and pages of just amazing stories. Do you, it seems like you're attracting a lot of female women over the age of 30, 40, 50 and older. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Yes. I think some of my oldest clients are actually, I can have a few in the 70s that come here. So yeah, majority of them probably are 30s, 40s, and 50s.
That's awesome. When you kind of went through your, in the beginning here, you shared it was a 2-year transformation from the point you saw yourself in the mirror to, competing and, but let's just step back a second and kind of go back to the time where you I don't know if it's a waking up experience or however you'd phrase it, but where you just really, I don't know, hit, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what was it mentally and emotionally going on when you made your decision point of either getting physically in shape and changing where you were currently at, or just to continue on this path of traditional thinking, which is we're supposed to get older, gain weight, look and feel worse as we get older. What was going on mentally and as far as that going?
Yeah, great question. Because whenever I seen that picture, I just, like I said, I was just kind of devastated. I knew I had gained weight, of course, but just looking back and seeing that, it just hit me. And I thought, I had tried to work out before. I had a few things in my home, but I just never stuck with it. I knew nothing about food and nutrition. Literally, thank goodness that I had the metabolism that I had in my younger years, or I probably would have been way overweight. But, I just decided, I'm going to go to the gym. The trainer that I had was tough on me. And I kept going back because I had that appointment. I'm just that type of person. If I sign up for something, I'm going to show up. So I think setting an appointment to go made me accountable and a big difference. And then probably, honestly, for the first, I would say, almost 10 months, I really didn't buy into the nutrition part of it. I showed up for the workouts, and I definitely felt better. But after about 10 months, then I thought, you know what, I'm working so hard at this, 2 to 3 times a week, that what can I do if I put good nutrition in? So I really started studying that myself. And I would start to, like, if I wanted to eat something bad, I would look it up and see what the calories were, and that, so I would make myself run that much on the treadmill the next day to run that off. And I found that it really wasn't worth it in the end, to do that. And also I felt so much better putting better food and unprocessed foods, and then I started seeing the 6-pack abs come in, and I felt better, and the transformation makes you want to keep going, because it's very unusual at later in life for somebody at 45 or 50 to decide that, hey, they want to transform their body, because a lot of times we think, oh, it's too late, but it's not too late. Even I have clients that have done it even later in life than that. So, it's just a motivating thing, and I think really how you feel too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I always tell, whenever you and I talked prior to jumping on the call, on the recording anyhow, about how I do, I do CrossFit every day, 9 a.m. And whenever new people come in the gym, you always see that kind of like look of, am I supposed to be here? Can I do this? Can I, whatever. And I always say to new people, I say, hey, look, how long have you been coming? And they're like, oh, this is my first week or second week, whatever it might be. And I always like to say, like, just commit to 6 weeks. And the reason I say that was because my belief is that anybody could do anything for 30 days. Most people, like most diets are designed around, a 21-day or 30-day plan, but then they just jump off of it. And so I found that like a 6-week, once you get past like the 6-week point, something like neurologically and mentally shifts.
Right.
What I want to ask that question to you. Like, so what did you find for yourself where you hit the point of no return, where you were like, this is my new way of going, this is how I'm going to live? And then what do you see with your clients when they come in?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it actually was I would say about a month or a month and a half in, which, about is that 6 weeks. I had signed up for that much training. So, I had to pay for it whether I went or not, so it made me go. And I enjoyed it because I started, like I said, seeing some results, and then I seen, of course, better results when I took the nutrition. But same thing with my clients. I mean, they sign up for classes, and, I always tell them to, if you give me a good 6 months to, depending on what they want as far as a transformation or just to lose weight or whatever, and I help them with their diet, give me a good, 6 months, your very, very best, and see what a difference you can make. And I'm really big about before pictures and taking pictures monthly so that they're accountable. And I think that makes them accountable to me, that if they know they have to come and get their picture taken or maybe have their weight or their measurements done on a monthly basis, that they're going to be more apt to be better, which in turn helps them, as well. So anyway, but yeah, I think the ones, they enjoy the classes, so that they, keep coming back to begin to bond with each other too. And so that makes it kind of a fun time for them as well.
Awesome. So let's talk about your transition on that. Like, what are the most common misconceptions either that you had with nutrition that you kind of flipped over on to going from, because I think, another misconception in like our society is if you want to lose weight, you just got to diet and eat less. And sometimes that could actually backfire if they don't get what they're doing. So could you take us through a little bit of like the misconceptions you had or some of the false beliefs you had, and then the more you learned, it took you through like that transition,
Mm-hmm.
to like what is good. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. You know, you hit it right on the head. The number one thing that I felt for myself, and also just about, I would say 99% of the women that walk in here do not eat enough food. It's basically a starvation type diet that they're on, because we as women, we think, oh, if we're going to go out, you know, to supper that night, it's like you don't eat all day until then. And, you know, as you get older too, things that happen are, you know, metabolism already is slowing down. And when you don't put the right amount of calories in your body, your body begins to, your metabolism slows down and stops burning those calories, because our body shifts into survival. It can live without food, but it's going to burn that body fat. So my revelation was eating every, you know, 3 to 4 hours, 6 times a day. And it was, at first I thought a lot of food. I'm like, how can I get this food down? But when I compete on competitions, I mean, we religiously eat the 6 meals a day. And it's so funny how, like, you can kind of get off track a little bit and, you know, not be as diligent. But then when you get right back on, it's like, you know, a week and a half eating 6 meals a day, you know, I've lost 5 pounds, you know, eating more food. So it just keeps that body's metabolism going, and that's probably the number one thing. Second thing would probably be just not knowing what is a protein, what is a carb, and what is a fat, and how important it is to have all 3 of those macronutrients in your diet at some point of the day. And, you know, knowing how to understand what works for my body, and also, too, what works for mine doesn't always work for everybody else. So it's kind of a thing that it's a trial and error. But I think starvation would have to be up on the top list, is not eating enough food.
So we'll take us through this is a little logistical, but I think this is a good question, right? So when you, because I've read, I think this is what's challenging about this is there's just so many different philosophies that people get confused, right? Like, so you're supposed to be told low carb diet. Well, what does that mean? So then they stop eating carbs totally. Now they're tired, and then they just binge on potato chips or whatever when they're starving, right?
Right.
So can you take us through a little bit of like what a day looks like then? So like when you wake up, are you eating right away? Are you waiting, et cetera, like that?
Mm-hmm. Normally I eat right away, unless I'm doing a fasted cardio session. So if I do fasted cardio, I usually take some supplements to help keep my muscle mass, like a branched chain amino acid, some CLA for energy, and then do maybe a 20 or 30 minute cardio session, and then I come right upstairs and eat. Normally I eat carbs for breakfast, a lot of carbs like oatmeal, adding in a little bit of protein. Then after that, 3 hours later, my snacks are actual meals. They're small portions, 4 to 6 ounces of sweet potatoes, 4 ounces of chicken, cups of green beans. I like a lot of unprocessed foods, not pre-made bars or shakes or anything like that. Those are just really not. Sometimes they're kind of glorified candy bars, and they'll have a lot of sugar and processed stuff in it. So then throughout the day, I try to keep my carbs to be in rice, quinoa, sweet potatoes. Throughout the day, then I might cycle those down to where in the evening time, then I'm doing my carbs are just vegetables, so protein and vegetables. Majority of the time I find that if you start your day off with carbs, it helps your energy level, and then if you can cycle those down, the starchy carbs like the potatoes and the rice and all that, and just go to vegetable carbs by the end of the day, then your energy will remain good. Your body will burn off all the carbs before you go to bed at night. And then you get up in the morning, and if you choose to do fasted cardio, it's a great fat-burning process because there's not very much carbs in there yet, and you're just burning fat. So anyway, so that's pretty much what my day looks like. And majority of the gals that I deal with, depending on, again, size and their goals, goals are different sometimes. I have a few that are on a higher fat, high protein diet, and that works great for them. But we also cycle carbs in every certain days, so that if you stop eating carbs altogether and you put them back in your diet, you're going to just gain it all back if you don't do it right. So anyway, and you can still get a lot of carbs with vegetables, and that's one of my main sources too, is a lot of vegetables in a day.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And now we'll switch gears slightly. So we'll give some at the end of this, we'll give a resource for everybody to check out more on the food nutrition side of it. I think it's one of the hard things too, Kim, is like, we in our society, we're kind of, they don't really make it easy. So yeah, let me ask that question. So then what's your secret for planning so that you now can eat? And there's a car honking outside our office, but we're just going to bear through it. What is your cycle of making it easy for you to succeed with this plan?
Yeah. Key number one thing is when I first started this, is I got rid of all the junk in my kitchen. Now, I'm not saying that every day forever, you can't ever have something bad. You might do something on the weekends and all that, but you just get right back on it. But I got rid of all the potato chips, the cookies, the things that could tempt me. I was a junk food eater when I started, because I would go through the kitchen. I worked at home. I was at home, so I would go through the kitchen and I would eat cookies or brownies, and that was just what I did. So I stopped buying that. I started preparing my food up ahead of time. I feel like if I have my meat prepared, like my chicken, when I cook chicken, I don't cook just one day of it. I cook like 3 days worth and weigh it on my scale after it's cooked, and I package it up in plastic containers or plastic bags, and either freeze it or just put it in the refrigerator. It's real easy if you've got the meat to microwave a potato real quick or hurry up and steam some rice if you're in a hurry. But I do pretty much try to plan all of my 6 meals a day, and I get them ready so that I don't choose something bad. Because when you don't have the convenience of working at home and you got to take it with you, I have a cooler with me constantly, and so if I'm going somewhere, I stop at a gas station and microwave my meal. That's my fast food. So it's just getting prepared to be successful, because unfortunately our world is a processed world that is the food industries are more apt for just putting chemicals in there because of convenience and shelf life. And so I think those help us not reach our goals as much. And of course the chemicals are not good. And so anyway, I just take it with me. And like I said, every gas station has a microwave. So you can go in, buy a bottle of water and use their microwave.
Oh, that's pretty, I've never heard that before. That's pretty smooth. That's really good.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just being prepared is really the key.
And so let's talk about then. Let's talk about your clients. What do you see as the biggest challenge that a lot of the ladies have when you're making this transition?
I would say probably time of actually wrapping it around their head that they prepare ahead of time, because I teach them to do it on Sunday and Wednesday. Just get a couple days ahead, and anytime you cook extra. Use the crock pot at night, put your food in there, and it's cooking while you're sleeping, and you wake up and you've got it done. So I think that probably is the number one thing, is wrapping your head around that the food is really 70% of your transformation. It really is. The workout is 20, and the supplementing is the other 10%. But if you want to make a transformation, especially those that want to compete on stage, it's almost this is what you have to do. And so I teach them, do it on certain days and all that, and the convenience of it. And really, if you do it like on a Sunday and a Wednesday, it's a couple hours of preparation. We spend more time messing around on Facebook than that, so just take a little bit of that time and, get your meals prepared, and then you're going to be more successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, let me just a little more back on the psychology and mindset. So what have you found to help the most for when people walk in and they are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, and you're introducing a totally new, that old phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Obviously, that's not. I don't believe that's. I don't believe that's not true. I don't believe that is true. Stubborn. You can't teach a stubborn, unwilling old dog to do anything. But if someone is coming to the platform ready to be supported and kick some butt, what are some of the mindset strategies that you have to help them through to go from being stuck or in a rut or wherever they're at to being fully bought in?
I think one thing is whenever they come in to the gym, and that I told you earlier that I'm really big about pictures, and I post everybody's before and after pictures. So they see all these pictures up on my board of somebody who is, I have a lady that is 65 that made an amazing transformation, and she looks 55 now. So I think motivation really encourages people, and I'm really about finding out and talking to them as they come in. I can pretty much almost tell if somebody really isn't following the food program that I've given to them, and that's their first session with me. We don't get into the workout until they've done a little nutrition session with me, because that, to me, is the most important part to learn. And I hold classes, nutrition classes for them. I've even done cooking classes where they're sitting in chairs at my kitchen table and I'm showing them how to cook. I give recipes out all the time, and maybe I've made something like a dessert with protein powder. I might have samples of that. So we're constantly, even during the workouts, it seems like, women can multitask. We can kind of talk and work out at the same time. So some of them might share, hey, guess what I did last week? I made this great salmon. So other people are hearing it, too. So I think it's a good motivation for them to know that, wow, they're seeing other people's transformations, and if they can do it, I can do it too. And so that's just kind of the mindset that we have in the gym here. And I think, other people go out and I've never really advertised, but they go out and somebody else is like, what'd you do? So then they maybe start coming with them and that. So that's kind of, I think, kind of what we have going. We have a really great unity here.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me that, you're doing a bunch of things right. Like even unconsciously, right? They have the social proof of other people. They're getting micro goals, so they're getting validation and accountability. Plus, they have a mentor and a model to follow. So those things are just really solid success tools, no matter what you're doing, and you're utilizing it in your micro world to help a lot of people. So that's pretty darn amazing. I also think, Kim, by you actually saying, hey, your first session, we're just going to talk about your nutrition, kind of flips traditional training on its head out of the gate anyway. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because like I said, I just believe that's, if they can understand that, because I just look back at day one when I walked in there, I knew nothing about nutrition. You could put an apple in front of me and I couldn't type it as a protein or a carb. And, I learned myself all of, what basically I know now. I went and studied and took courses and seen the transformation and that. So it's, I know how I felt, and I think that is where the world right now is we are not educating on nutrition. We're not getting it from the doctors. If you go to the doctor because of something, a lot of times you're just getting a pill to take, and they're not really teaching you, hey, why don't we try to do this instead, So I think we're just not educated.
Yeah, totally. And the food pyramid is what we, if any of us were educated, it's what we were shown anyway. And and there's so many things wrong with that anyway. What about dairy? Can I ask you specific questions on dairy? Do you take dairy? Do you ask your client, or do you encourage people to get off of it?
I do encourage people to get off that. I honestly feel that a lot of times, people have food allergies. You don't realize that you have it because your stomach's just torn up, or you're bloated and gassy and all of that. And I find that a lot of times when I take out dairy out of their diet, I can reach my goals better when I take it out of mine. I can get my stomach flat. I feel better, and that now. I have a few clients that just absolutely have to have that dairy, but there's some that they're fine. They want to do what it takes to be the best they can, and I really believe taking dairy out is important.
Are there any? Couldn't agree more. Are there any other foods that you consider to be like pretty high up there as far as across the board should be taken out?
Well, I think grain, carbs like your breads and different things like that. A lot of people don't realize that maybe they might be allergic to the gluten. Yeah. Now, gluten-free sometimes is also what I call a buzzword, where people might just go buy things just because it says gluten-free on it, and not everything is healthy that says gluten-free. Right. So you have to, be careful. But for myself, grains, a lot of people, if I remove grains and dairy, you start to see way better results. Sometimes nuts and that, those are another thing that a lot of times are more inflammatory in the digestive system. So you maybe can't get, where you need to go there, but that's not true for everybody. It just depends on different people. They just don't digest them as well. But probably I'd say the number two things. Number one, dairy, and number two is grain.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have you studied inflammation much, and how it affects like the body weight and retention of like water, or just different issues?
Yeah, in competing, I've really had to study that, and then, trial and error on certain things. Like I said, it's just every time I've got on stage, I think I've probably done something different to look the best that I can. And a lot of times I would always look back on a few of my pictures and think, why could I not get my stomach flatter? I was eating everything I should be eating, but I look back and it was like, hey, that was probably, grains or dairy. And like I said, when you take those things out of your diet for a while and maybe you put it back in, you really can tell a difference in your digestive system. And then maybe that it's not, good for you. Kind of like that Whole30 concept is, for 30 days, live without dairy and grain, and then maybe still introduce some things back in and see how your body responds.
Yeah, it's so funny. When I first time I took dairy out of my coffee and started drinking coffee black, and just went like a full week without any dairy at all, I remember leaving like Starbucks one day after I had just gotten done training, showered, got my coffee, and I was walking to my car, and I realized that I had no aches and pains in my body, like at all. And yeah, it was just when it like hit me, like I'm not kinking my back, I'm not worried, and it was just purely that nutrition, taking it out of my completely out of my diet. And it's just amazing. And so when I see a lot of people who are trying to lose weight, I'm always like, their inflammatory system is so cranked up because of their nutrition, that they could work out 4 hours a day and they're still not going to really have successful results, so.
Right, exactly. And food is a major aspect of how you feel, like energy-wise. I can always tell if, like if you've been off sugar for a while and then you have something with sugar, how, you just feel like your head's all clogged up and you just don't feel good. So it makes a difference in your energy level too.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's transition into like, what's the typical workout like? What is it? And then how do you suggest people going from wherever they are to diving in and being a beast at, the 3 month, 6 month mark?
Well, like first starting out, I like a lot of circuit type workouts for my gals, especially if you're, wanting to drop weight, moving from one exercise to the other with not a lot of rest in between, burns more calories. And, then also I have the competitors that we maybe kind of move into, maybe lifting a little bit heavier weights and focusing on certain body parts at certain times. As well, but I would say probably group classes, we probably do more of a circuit type training or a HIIT workout where we're working.
Can you explain? Yeah, can you explain what HIIT is for everybody?
Yeah, HIIT is the high intensity workout where you're basically working at your capacity for maybe say 50 seconds and resting for 10, and then going again. So you're not getting much rest in between time for the heart rate to drop. And normally these workouts only need to last 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and you've got a great fat burning workout. So we love them, and we do a lot of HIIT workouts.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I think one of the misconceptions in exercise is like today I saw some people running, and they were, God bless them for being out there running, right? So, but they were running at like the slowest absolute pace you could see someone running, and it's not like they were doing that for 26 miles, and they're probably going to do a couple miles, and then they'll do the same thing tomorrow. And I was thinking exactly like it'd be great because with CrossFit, and by the way, just everyone knows I do CrossFit, but I love, like, my wife does boot camps. I think if you're out doing stuff, but that spike in the heart rate is important. And you can get so much more work done in those small increments versus thinking that you got to go 60, 90 minutes, correct?
Exactly. And that's exactly right. I love getting on the treadmill for about 10 minutes of sprints, but if I have to stay on there very long, it's not as fun. And sometimes you'll see people reading a book at the gym and all that. I would rather get on and do high intensity on it and get off of it in short time.
Now, I find that this might be sounding a little silly to you, Kim. So next time you come to Chicago, we're going to go do a killer workout together. But I find that when you start doing like the interval trainings and then you go into like this, it's a little bit longer of a workout, like so say 12 to 15 minutes. And that space, as you get a little deeper into the workout, if you're really pushing yourself, I find that is some of the best meditative states or mental clearing components that I've ever gotten. I don't know. What do you think on that? Do you I'm assuming you get some good mental health components out of this as well, but.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I love being in the gym with people, but also sometimes I like being by myself too, and that you can just immerse yourself in your own thoughts, have that on. So yeah, it's great.
So you have a 12-week transformation that I want to let everyone know about. What is entailing in the 12-week transformation? Because in our show notes, what I'll do is I'll have a link to where everybody could get access to it or find out how they can get access to it. But can you share a little bit about what it is and stuff like that?
Sure. Right now it's 12 weeks till summer, so everybody wants to get in the best shape so they're going to be in that bikini or the shorts for summertime. So basically what we're doing is we're starting off with, take your picture, take your measurements, see where you're at right now. I'm going to be posting lots of information about nutrition, a daily workout, and really it's about us together as a community just saying that we're doing this for 12 weeks to be the very best you can be. So what will happen at the end of June, whenever we take that second picture? A lot can happen in 12 weeks. I've had some amazing transformations with my clients in that time period. And I think if you're more diligent, if you are in a challenge, whenever you're, like if you're out somewhere and you're tempted to eat something that you shouldn't eat, it makes you kind of hold back and say, hey, I don't think I want to eat that now because, I'm in this challenge to be the very best I can be by the end of the challenge. So I think it's just motivating each other and coming together, doing some workouts at home. If you've not been doing anything at all, it's just getting up and even if it's 15 minutes a day, just getting some activity going.
Yeah, totally. I love it. And do you interact with, I know you have a Facebook group with it, do you interact with people if they have questions and stuff like that? Or do you, how does that format and coaching work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They can message me, or I totally can control that Facebook page myself. So I post everything, and in there, if they have a question, just post it on there or message me. I'll make sure that they get an answer.
Fantastic. What I want to ask you another question because I didn't ask this earlier, but it was on my notes. What was it like? I know your family, I know your daughter very well, and she made my roommate from college a very, very lucky man, and I tell him that he married up very often. I do have I have a funny story for you. This is funny. I was telling someone about this the other day. Greg's going to kill us for me sharing this on actually a public show. But Greg was, for everyone who doesn't know it, Greg's one of my best friends from college, and he married Kim's daughter. And but we used to do this thing called Navy drill when we played volleyball together, and it was something like you had 40 seconds. You had to run all the way down the basketball court, all the way back, all the way down, all the way back. And maybe even like 6 lengths. I don't even know what it was. But we had the coach's job was to keep shrinking the amount of time you had. And I remember I actually trained prior to the season beginning. Greg, on the other hand, didn't. And so about halfway through the laps, Greg would always be like, it's hard to say this, it's easier to do this on video, but he'd be bent over crying out loud. Yeah, he married up. So I'm glad that your family genes are assisting with him, even though Dan and Jeannie are pretty awesome. Anyhow, getting to my question, what was your kind of, I call this in my book, I call it your almost like a societal obligation trap. And what I mean by that is that you've created an identity as you get older. And so everyone around you kind of just expects you to continue to maintain the person you are, not transition into somebody that you see inside your own spirit and your heart and your mind. And so for you, I'll go for you first, but then I'd like you to answer it for your clients as well. Was it challenging for you to go from someone who was overweight, kind of not this amazingly fit person, to make that identity shift? And then how did other people respond to it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yes, I think at first I was almost kind of maybe a little bit, I want to say embarrassed, like when I would eat out with my friends and all that, to pass on the dessert, or when I started carrying my food with me in places, I was, a lot of comments were made, because you can walk in with a Whopper and French fries and nobody says a word, but you have chicken out of a Tupperware container and they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's funny.
So, yeah, and it's, I think it's just society, because, people are like, just not expecting that. And of course, as I got in better shape and then started competing, I kind of was like, oh, are my kids going to be embarrassed of me and all that. But it was really kind of the opposite. I think I felt like after a while they bought into wanting to be the best that they can be too. Like Shauna, my daughter, after she had her kids, and now she's teaching them how to eat right. And so it's kind of like the ripple effect in your family all the way around. So anyway, but I think, at first you just have to get past that and that mindset of, people kind of razzing you a little bit and making comments about you not eating at the event that you're eating at, or, like the cake or whatever, but you're eating different food, So you have to just kind of get past that and know that, your goals are different than theirs, and you just have to move on. And I think same thing with my clients, the peer pressure of if you're a person that maybe you have a lot of friends that they, like to drink or something, sometimes making that paradigm shift of you're not really, going to participate in that, but you can still go out and have a great time. I've had a lot of fun at wedding receptions with just water. And so, it's just, just thinking in a different light, thinking in a different way. Because if I go back to eating the way I used to eat and doing the things I used to do, then I'll look the way I used to look, and I don't want that.
Yeah. And, the other thing is there is a point in no matter what goals you're going after that there is a point where people stop asking or people stop expecting. So, for example, I have a lot of people that used to invite me out for drinks or on the weekdays or to play in softball tournaments. And now with 7 kids, I just I don't have the time to do any of that. But also, there's kind of have a new set of friends, like my CrossFit friends, my SEAL Fit friends, the guys that I train with, even when I go to like marketing conferences now, it's just you start attracting different people who are geeked up about what you're into, and so, yeah.
Yeah. It is a funny little thing. My oldest son, who's 33, I said to him one day when Sean and I were competing, we were in our swimsuits, and he came here and caught us in our swimsuits posing. And I asked him, I said, "Are you embarrassed of me?" And he's like, "No, actually, I would be more embarrassed if you had to drive the cart at Walmart than the way you look now." So I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Awesome.
I thought that was fun.
That's really funny, actually. That's awesome. Yeah. One day, I think you'll find this funny. One day when I was looking on your site, I took a picture of you and Sean and I texted it to Greg. I said, "This is what I'm looking at right now." And he was like, he's like, "You're a creep." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well,
It's funny.
So the last question, or I guess here's a couple quick hits for you. What are you studying now?
Right now,
Yeah.
Actually, I am studying. Well, we're working on still some competitions. I'm also getting ready to do a tri-fitness competition, like an obstacle course.
Nice.
Which I would have never dreamed of that. Down in Florida, taking a team down there. And, just basically, I'm still, doing my nutrition meal plans and everything. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Are you reading anything or anything outside of fitness and health that's cool? Or
I read a lot of self-help books, like The Traveler's Gift. I just got done reading that. So I do read a lot of those type of books.
Yeah, is that with, what's the guy's name? Is that... I'm going to have it up right now. It's one of the best books out there. That's with this book's amazing. And Andy Andrews.
Yeah, Andy Andrews. Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah, and for anybody listening, you could probably see some of the videos of Andy Andrews on YouTube. He's a phenomenal speaker. Phenomenal. Okay, so that was my question on studying. Last question. Just for people, any last words of encouragement or advice that you'd like to give for people who are going out there and are really trying to grind it out and transform their bodies, their mind, they're kind of rewriting what their next 20, 30 years is going to look like?
I think, just never give up, and, just know that it doesn't matter where you're starting at, you can do this, and you just have to, just keep a positive mind and open mind, and hang around people that uplift you and make you feel better, and, just don't give up. I'm just really a fan of, dreaming big, and big things happen.
Yeah, totally. And it's never too late. You're showing that, and I love it. I love it. Well, Kim, thank you so much. I'm going to, you have, your website is, I just clicked off it because, it's fitbodiesbykim.com. And I know we were talking about, we're going to put a link up to direct people so that if they want to go ahead and be a part of the 12-week challenge, get their fit body and crush it, they can do that. Real quick on supplements. I didn't ask you anything about supplements. So what are your recommended typical supplements that you think is, I know everyone's slightly different and everything like that, but what are like your, top 3 to 7 that people might consider using for different reasons?
Okay. Well, definitely I always take a multivitamin because I feel like, that's the foundation. We're getting all of your core vitamins in there. I love branched chain amino acids. I think those are very, very important. Those help the body keep the muscle mass while the body targets burning fat, basically, because when the body looks for energy to burn, sometimes it wants to tear down muscle, and so those are going to help keep muscle mass. Glutamine for recovery is another one that is something you can drink during a workout. And then essential fatty acids and omega, and great for inflammation, hair, skin, nails, just all kinds of great benefits there. And then I always take a probiotic, and then during my cardio time, whenever I'm training for shows and I need maybe a little bit more help with burning fat, I love CLA and L-carnitine. So I use both of those as well. So that's about it. Sometimes I supplement with a protein whey, but I love real food better than just a shake. But if you need something, sometimes a protein whey or casein shake would be good.
Yeah, and maybe one of the on a follow-up, I may have you like write an article or something like that on the different types of proteins if you're going to use protein shakes. Like what specifically you suggest and stuff like that. So that's great.
Sure.
And
okay.
do you know, like I this is kind of off tangent. I know you got to go. When I went out and did the Navy SEAL camp, the Kokoro Hell Week camp, were you aware that I did that, or did any of?
Yeah, that was awesome. I've seen your video on your Facebook page. So
I never had to use digestive enzymes or probiotics. Like I never felt the need until I went there. And this is totally like probably speculative, right? Or maybe I'm just more aware of it. But I got ridiculously sick because somebody screwed up. They used the wrong water spigot, which was actually turned out to be like the lake water. And so like a bunch of us got like food poisoning or water poisoning, whatever you want to call it. I may have to go see like one of the integrated medicine doctors locally just to flush out my colon. I know it sounds horrible, but get a new fresh thing, because I now have gas. This sounds ridiculous that I'm sharing this, but like I now use my digestive enzymes, and I now use my probiotic like religiously, because when I don't, I just notice there's a difference, and I may be exaggerating that was the cause. I just noticed that. So there you go. I shared something personal about myself. I'm.
No, that's a major thing. It's funny that you brought that up, because I think the number one problem that women have that walk in here is the constipation, the issues like that. So the probiotic and really helps. And that's one that I suggest a lot of times for people, and makes a big difference.
Yeah, you combine that with also, too, just removing the foods we talked earlier, like the dairy, the grain, the nuts, and just seeing what is not. Because you're right. When you, and I would love to challenge everybody to even just take a week off of these just one at a time or simultaneously, and then reintroduce it and see what happens. Right. It's just, I mean, you and I could talk all day about this. And, well, awesome. Well, Kim, you're amazing. I think I'm just honored to know you, and I really appreciate you taking the time. And hopefully we can get this out to as many people as possible. And so if you liked it, let us know your comments. Share it, and keep up the good fight there. So,
Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a great day.
All right, you too. This episode is sponsored by Marine D3. If you want 24-hour antioxidant protection while giving your brain, eyes, heart, and overall energy a jolt of long-lasting nourishment, then Marine D3 is for you. This is my number one top-selling health product that I've sold over 500,000 bottles, and right now, 80% of our sales come from repeat customers. Marine D3 can flood your cells with an abundance of new antioxidants and nutrients that fights and repairs damage done to the cells during exercise, everyday living, and the natural breakdown that occurs as we age. After 15 years of research and over $39 million spent on clinical studies, a renowned biochemist has found one of the world's greatest antioxidants. It's called CNLP, hiding deep below the ocean's surface. I took CNLP, combined it with a little-known omega-3 called calamine, as well as vitamin D3, so that you can get maximum benefit all in one supplement. I'd like to give you the first bottle absolutely free. I just ask that you pay shipping and handling. At edokeefeshow.com/free bottle, I'll have a mini presentation that will share more about the supplement and why people are raving about it. Most importantly, it'll show you exactly how you can get it shipped out to you today, just for shipping and handling. This episode is brought to you by Dormant Forces Insider. If you would like monthly big business breakthroughs, insider marketing strategies that actually work, and mindset secrets of multimillionaires sent directly to your door so you can have them in your hands and you can apply them, then this is for you. Now, you can test drive my Dormant Forces Insider Silver membership for just 1 month free. If you love it, we know you'll stay with it and let it keep you in the loop of what's working inside my businesses and the other dozens and dozens of businesses that I mentor. Why would you go at it all on your own when you can use other people's experience than just replicate what works? Anyhow, right now you can test drive the membership for just $1 plus a few bucks shipping and handling by going to edokeefeshow.com/dormant forces. That's edokeefeshow.com/dormant forces.
And thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. You can find the show notes for this episode as well as all the other podcast episodes by heading on over to edokeefeshow.com. If you would, please go subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and leave a rating and review. Rating and reviews truly are the best way for you to show your appreciation for the show because they help more people find out about the podcast and decide if this is the one for them. So until next week, it's time for you to go out there, take action, and inspire the world.